Okay, so have you ever seen like one of those stories online and you're just like, what is going on here?
Oh, yeah, all the time,
Yeah.
especially in the world we live in now.
Well, that's exactly what we're diving into today. A conservative influencer who a lot of people know as Catturd got into it with a Republican Congressman Thomas Massey on Twitter. And now Catturd's saying he's going to sue Massey for defamation.
Wow, that's that's a headline. You've got these big online personalities mixing with political figures and, the legal system. It really makes you think about, what are the rules when it comes to what you say online?
Right. And that's what we're going to try to unpack today. For this deep dive, we've got a transcript from a Ring of Fire YouTube video, and their host really gets into this whole crazy situation. Basically, Catturd is publicly saying he's going to sue Congressman Massey, and we want to break down exactly what's going on and figure out what the legal issues are here.
Yeah, so we're using the conservative influencer Catturd threatens to sue Republican congressman for defamation. Video transcript from the Ring of Fire YouTube channel to guide our conversation today.
Sounds good. So it all starts with this tweet from Representative Massey. This wasn't just some random tweet, though. It was from his official congressional account. And the tweet says, and I quote, "Who are the most named paid influencers on this platform? Does anyone else compete with cat poop and DC drainage for this title?"
It's interesting, right? He doesn't actually use the names Catturd or DC Drano. It's like he's kind of hinting at them with cat poop and DC drainage, but not directly calling them out. I wonder why he did that.
Yeah, it's definitely a little strange. And of course, this tweet didn't just disappear into the void. It basically kicked off this whole back and forth online.
Absolutely. And I think it's important to remember that this happened on Twitter, which is now X. It's a platform where people are, kind of known for being a little aggressive and using strong language sometimes.
Yeah, for sure. So Catturd sees this tweet, and what does he do? Well, according to the Ring of Fire host, Catturd basically fires back and says that Massey unprovoked attacked me a few days ago, claiming I was a paid grifter who was paid for my political opinions.
And he takes it a step further, which is really important here. He claims that Massey and his team actually researched him and couldn't find any proof that he's getting paid for his political commentary. That's a big part of his argument for defamation.
And then this is where things really escalate. Catturd says this is a slam dunk defamation lawsuit. He didn't hold back at all in his response to Massey.
Right. That's what takes it from just some online argument to a potential legal situation. And that's where the Ring of Fire host comes in and gives their take on it all.
Yeah, and the host's first reaction is pretty funny. They literally say they think this is by far the dumbest story I have ever talked about. I mean, that kind of sets the stage right.
Yeah, it does make you wonder how serious this whole thing really is. And the host starts asking some really good questions about whether this is even a real defamation case.
Okay, so the Ring of Fire host breaks down what defamation actually means in a legal sense. What are the main things that Catturd would have to prove to win this case?
Well, there are a few key things. First, he has to show that Massey said something that wasn't true, a false statement of fact. Then he has to show that this statement was published to other people, which a tweet definitely is. And then he has to show that the statement hurt his reputation. And finally, there has to be some level of fault on Massey's part. It's not enough for him to just have said something mean or untrue. He has to have done it intentionally or recklessly.
So Catturd can't just be a fender, right? He has to prove that Massey lied and that it actually caused him damage.
Yeah, exactly. And the burden of proof is on Catturd. Massey doesn't have to prove that his tweet was true.
And the Ring of Fire host brings up another point about how Massey didn't actually tag Catturd's Twitter handle or use his full name. He just called him cat poop. Does that matter?
It's an interesting question. For something to be defamation, it has to be clear who the statement is about. Even though a lot of people probably knew who Massey was talking about, by using that nickname and changing it up a bit, it makes things less clear-cut legally. Catturd would have to prove that it was obvious who Massey was referring to. It's not as straightforward as if Massey had just tweeted, @Catturd is a paid grifter.
Okay, so here's where the Ring of Fire host brings up something that I think is really important. Twitter Blue. Why is that a big deal in this case?
This is where it gets interesting. Twitter Blue is their subscription service. And one of the perks is that you can potentially make money from your tweets. So if you're a Twitter Blue subscriber, you could be eligible for monetization.
So people can actually get paid for their tweets.
Yeah, through things like ads or subscriptions. And the Ring of Fire host points out that if Catturd is using Twitter Blue and making money from his tweets, which often include his political opinions, then is he not kind of being paid for his political opinions, even if it's not directly from someone paying him to say certain things?
That's a really good point. If he's making money from Twitter Blue and his tweets are about politics, then how can he say that Massey's statement was completely false? It all comes down to what paid influencer really means, I guess.
That's the key question here. Is getting a cut of ad revenue or subscription fees for content that includes your political views the same as being paid for those views?
And the host even says that if Catturd is making money from his tweets, then he might want to rethink this whole slam dunk lawsuit thing and maybe even take back what he said.
I can see why they say that. If it turns out that Catturd is profiting from his Twitter activity, it really weakens his argument that he's never been compensated for his political views. It makes the whole case a lot more complicated.
So it sounds like from a legal standpoint, this lawsuit might not be as clear-cut as Catturd is making it seem.
Yeah, the host definitely thinks that this is a weak case for defamation, especially if Catturd is making any money from his Twitter content.
So what are the big takeaways for our listeners from this whole bizarre situation?
Well, first of all, it shows how quickly things can escalate online. 1 minute you're reading a tweet, and the next minute someone's threatening a lawsuit. It's crazy.
Yeah, and it also reminds us about how defamation law actually works. If you're claiming that someone defamed you, you have to prove that what they said was false. It's not their job to prove that it was true.
And on top of that, if you're a public figure like Catturd, it's even harder to win a defamation case.
Right. And this whole thing really highlights how the world of online influencing and making money online is changing all the time. It's not always clear what the difference is between just sharing your opinion and being a paid influencer. And this case could have some interesting implications for how those lines are drawn legally.
Definitely. We're in a new age where things like speech and reputation and the law are getting more and more complex online.
It's pretty wild that this all started because of a tweet that said cat poop. It's like something out of a sitcom or something.
Yeah, it's definitely a story that sticks with you. And it makes you think about a bigger question. With all these ways to make money online, what does it really mean to be paid for your opinion these days? Is there even a clear line anymore?
That's something for all of us to consider as we navigate the online world. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
It was an interesting one for sure.
You got that right.